Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talisman the Horus Heresy, the latest title from Nomad Games. The Horus Heresy, as you may be able to tell, is built on the Talisman engine, and that idea is going to pervade a lot of the game's content. The Horus Heresy is set in the Warhammer 30k universe, wherein the titular character, Horus, I'm pretty sure that guy, is attempting to wrest control of the galaxy/universe from the Standing Emperor. I'm pretty sure that guy. As you may be able to tell, I am not a Warhammer nerd. While it seems interesting, I've never really gotten into it. I don't know the lore, and I can't speak to how well this game represents the canon. I'm sure I'll also mess up a lot of the names, so I hope you'll bear with me in that regard. This game has had a bit of a kerfuffle surrounding its release for basically three reasons. One of the major reasons is that this game isn't Relic Digital. For those of you who aren't familiar, Relic is a Talisman-based game set in the Warhammer universe that many people consider to be better than Talisman in many regards. I haven't really had any experience with Relic, so I can't speak to it as a game of its own, but I can certainly see a game developer logic in releasing this game instead of Relic. So if we try to set ourselves in the place of a game developer, we have two options if we want to release a Warhammer board game. We can go with Relic and spend a huge amount of money developing a whole new engine and do the best that we can in that regard. Or we can reskin Talisman's engine, extend it a little bit, and give us the Horus Heresy. I feel like I really shouldn't have a strong opinion about this versus Relic, and I really don't. I just kind of want to bring it up and validate its existence, so to speak. If you're looking for Relic Digital, this is going to be disappointing, most likely. It's probably going to be disappointing anyway, spoiler alert, but if you're looking for Relic Digital, don't buy this. In addition to the Relic versus Talisman debate, many people, myself included, don't like the fact that it came with Day 1 DLC, especially the way that they did it. The Day 1 DLC for this game features Heroes and Villains character packs 1 and 2. Each of these gives 2 characters and a number of data slates, which are basically the equivalent of encounter cards. With these 2 expansions, the total number of characters in the game is 16. The base game comes with 4 characters, and the 2 DLC add 4 onto that. Kind of on a related but somewhat separate note, sorry, I just had to bring up a notepad document here, is the pricing of the game. Talisman, right now, is available for basically $15 US. Its character packs are $2, usually, I think exclusively, for 1 character. Its small expansions, like the Sacred Pool, for instance, are $5, and the big expansions that have, like, game board pieces and so on, are $7. The expansions usually come with a lot of cards, spells, characters, and the big expansions have actual board extensions. So, in general, I consider those prices to be fair. The Horus Heresy base game is $25 USD, which is $10 more than the Talisman base game. And from what I can tell, you get less out of it. Each of these DLC are also $4, bringing the base game and all day one DLC to $33, which is approaching actual like big game release money. If you're looking for a Warhammer Talisman game on the cheap, this is not the way to go. I consider those prices to be inflated, but obviously that's subjective. So those are the three major complaints about this game's release. It's not Relic, which seems kind of silly in my mind, but I can kind of see why people are on that bus. It comes with day one DLC, which I'm against, and that certainly is points against the game. And it's distinctly more expensive than Talisman for what don't really seem to be good reasons. So with that said, we're going to set most of that aside and look at the actual game itself. Yeah, okay. In the Talisman game, only one character can win. There's one crown of command. You are fighting everybody else on the board to get there and win the game. In the Horus Heresy, it's more team-based. You have the Loyalists versus the Traitors. The Loyalists can attack the Traitors and vice versa. But if a Loyalist lands on a square with a Loyalist, they can do team-based stuff, like trading. This doesn't actually make sense. Okay. I'm going to point something out, and then we're going to look at it again later. So I'm here, the AI here, and then there's these crossbars with what seems to be a random spot, random, random. So, is there 6 characters in the game? It kind of looks that way. But that's not true. We'll come back to that in a second. So we have the Loyalists. One of the changes to Talisman is that they renamed all this stuff. Resolve takes the place of health. Fate takes the place of fate, I guess. Resource is gold. Close combat is strength. Ranged combat is craft. And strategy is a new thing that's kind of craft and kind of its own separate thing. So resource works just like gold. Close combat works just like strength. Ranged combat is used for combat exclusively, although it, in that respect, it operates in the same niche as craft would in combat. Strategy is the non-combat extension of craft, and it'll become more readily apparent as we get into the game, and you'll see how it works in the systems. Strategy is used for the maximum number of stratagems or spells that you can have, I believe, and some characters interact with it in special ways. So, the first 4 characters here are available in the base game, and the other 4 are in the DLC. Starting off, we have apparently one of the hardest names to pronounce in Warhammer. I actually looked this up on the net to try to get a better idea of how to pronounce this guy's name. And apparently, the best way to pronounce this guy's name is Robot Girly Man. Okay, joking aside, I'm basically going to declare success and say that it's Robot Geileman. And we'll go with that. If I'm wrong, hey, sorry. He starts the game with 1 random stratagem or spell. He may use 2 weapon loadouts at the same time, and he may discard any one revealed data slate, basically encounter card, and replace it with a new one. You might notice that all of these things are basically familiar. They haven't really extended too much of the way that character abilities work in this game. All of these things can be found in actual Talisman, either in the base game or one of its expansions. That's pretty much true throughout. Robotier seems pretty strong in the 1 or 2 games that I've played already. He has one. I have one as him. He has 3 close combat and 3 ranged combat, so he's fairly balanced, and he has a good amount of health, and his strategy starts fairly high. Corvus Corax here is literally the assassin. When he attacks a warlord or unit in melee, he can deny them their die roll to add to their close combat. If he wins, he has to take 1 resolve or health, and he can't take equipment or resource instead. He can't assassinate on the vengeful spirit, the end square, basically, and it only works in melee. He has 3 close combat and 2 ranged combat. He starts with no strategy, so he's all close combat oriented, and is literally the assassin. As mentioned, Vulcan has some troll abilities and kind of alchemy, I guess. Whenever he rolls a 6 on his move, he can regenerate a resolve. He can turn equipment into resources or items into gold, vehicles at 3, and equipment at 1. At the cost of a resource, he may gain 1 fate, 1 resolve, or 1 stratagem or spell. He may forge equipment into resources and then use those resources during the same turn. He has 4 close combat and 3 ranged combat, which is actually fairly high. He actually seems like a decent character. Garviel Loken is basically the Amazon with a little extra. If he is defeated or has a standoff in melee, he may ignore the result and immediately fight again. The Amazon. If he is fighting more than 1 unit, he may roll an extra die and add the result to his attack score. He starts with 3 close combat and 2 ranged combat and no strategy, and is the last of the base game characters. Alexis Pollux is basically the knight. If he does not have a Legion battle barge, he may go to any Forge world and collect one. Whenever he kills a unit, he may gain 1 stratagem or spell, and he may reveal an extra data slate in contested sectors. He has 2 close combat and 3 ranged combat with 1 strategy. The Praetor of the Dark Angels, I think, is how you would say that, is the monk with some slight modifications. He adds his strategy to his close combat during melee, and he adds his strategy to his ranged combat during a firefight. He starts with 1 strategy, 3 close combat, and 2 ranged combat. The way that the monk would work, he would add his starting craft to his strength in strength-based combat. So it's a little different, but basically the same. Sigismund may discard 2 fate to automatically win a melee. Is that a character? I feel like that is an actual character in Talisman, but I don't remember which one. One of the expansion characters? I think. He has 4 close combat, 2 ranged combat, and 0 strategy. Archelaus Numion may choose to add 3 to his close combat or 3 to his ranged combat at the start of his turn. He has 2 close combat and 2 ranged combat with 1 strategy. This is the Elementalist. Yes. And of course we can random our character. I rather like Robot Girly Man, so we're going to actually play as that character. On the red side, the Horusy side, we have Angron, and he looks very angry, who gains an extra turn if he wins in melee against other warlords or characters, and takes a resolve, so he has to hurt them. He adds 1 to all attack rolls in melee or close combat. He has a whopping 5 close combat and 1 ranged combat. He is very angry and wants to punch you in the face, apparently. Mortarion has some of the same abilities as a Loyalist character in that he may regenerate on a 6 roll for movement, gaining 1 resolve. When he defeats a unit in melee, he may capture the unit instead of gaining XP, which we'll go over in just a second once we get into the game proper. He can take one of his units and add its close combat to his for a melee engagement, after which it is destroyed. He has 4 close combat and 2 ranged combat. Ezekiel Abaddon gains the maximum number of stratagems available to him when landing on a traitor's sector, and he also may use 2 weapon loadouts at the same time. He is a balanced character with 3 and 3 and 1 strategy. Conrad Kurz may inflict a reign of terror when he attacks a warlord or unit in melee. He reduces their attack score by 1. Or by his strategy, yes, which is initially 1. He may also discard any 1 revealed data slate and replace it with a new 1. He is balanced at 2 and 2, again with 1 strategy. Cor Pharaon may sacrifice a unit to automatically win a melee, and he may enslave strangers and add them to his forces, using an enslaved stranger in melee to gain a +3 close combat bonus, although he can only use 1 per melee, after which it is discarded. He is at a 2 in close combat and a 3 in ranged combat with a fairly high 2 strategy. The Praetor of the Dark Angels, again, is the monk. Is that literally the same as the Loyalist character? I think so. Which is kinda crappy. Karn may discard 1 fate to prevent himself from losing a resolve. When in melee, he may charge and receive a +2 bonus to his attack score, though he misses his next turn. He has a 4 in close combat and a 2 in ranged combat, with 1 strategy. That's the Highlander? I believe, yes. Sevatar. If he rolls a 1 for his attack roll, he may roll an additional die, and he also strikes terror in melee, reducing his attack score by 1. Reducing the opponent's attack score by 1. Did I just mix those up? Probably. And that's all of the traitors. That actually bugs me now. Okay, let's jump into a game and see who we're against. It looks like we have Corvus Corax, the assassin, on our side. We're against Karn and Mortarion. Karn discards a fate to prevent himself from losing a resolve, and he can charge. Mortarion regenerates on a 6, and he can capture units and use them in melee. Very good. We have a stratagem, a spell. Perfect navigation. We may move to any other sector in the same region. It's a teleport. So, we are now in the game proper. One difference that you can see fairly quickly is that you can't really see inventories. If you click on someone, their inventory appears down here, their descriptor here, and if you then click on a thing, its description goes there as well, and you can expand that with the information bubble to see more information, oddly enough. We do have the standard Talisman turn history dialogue, and we now roll in the lower right instead of in the middle upper. I kind of like the middle upper better. It feels more engaged, I guess. And this game looks distinctly prettier, I think, than Talisman. Its art assets are better defined, and generally I like sci-fi over fantasy settings, so I'm a little biased. A lot of the board spaces are basically the same as Talisman, although they're shuffled around a little bit. One of the differences between this game and Talisman is that each space has a difference based on whether you're a loyalist or a traitor. The loyalist world of Nikeah, for instance, if you're a loyalist, you get an incoming decree, roll 1 die. If you're a traitor, you engage in a close combat and get nothing out of it, I think. We can, as a loyalist, roll a die and a number of things can happen. So it's kind of like a prey space. Kind of. Other squares allow you to access data slates or encounters. There are a lot more access to data slates than there are in Talisman. We have the fall system, I think, and another roll for effect. Access data slates, buy some stuff. And here we have analogs of armor, basically. And also some vehicles that help out your stats. Add 1 to your close combat and ranged combat, or add 2 to ranged combat in firefights, which are specifically combats dealing in ranged combat. More data slates. Lose 1 resolve as a loyalist, or receive resolve for 1 resource each, or roll a die, basically the equivalent of a graveyard. Access data slates, cross the warp, the analog of the sentinel. I think it's even the same stats. Yeah, you can use close combat or ranged combat, but you have to beat a 9. So we can gain resolve and roll a die, or do so after a melee. Access data slates, close combat, and a die roll. I don't think there's an equivalent of that in Talisman. Access data slates, roll a die for effect. Basically the same as, say, a crag space. Access data slates, buy some stuff, armor and whatnot. Access data slates, lose 1 resolve, and do the loyalist stuff, a cathedral. Access a data slate, access 2 data slates, and I think we're back. So, as you can see, there are far more draw stuff spaces on the outside here. We're going to roll for movement, and we got a 3. So we can access 1 data slate, or go to the desert, lose a resolve, and then access a data slate. You can double-click on spaces in Talisman to move to them, right? Okay, apparently you cannot in this game. So we'll travel here, access a data slate, and hopefully that will tell us some stuff about units, but it didn't. Okay, fleets are basically followers. They follow you around. The merchantment transport here requires 1 resource to take, and it will carry an extra 4 items of equipment for you. It's not the mule, but the other one that you have to pay for. I think I will do this thing. I only have 1 resource. But we'll do it anyway. Resource doesn't seem that hard to come by. And the rest of these will take their turns. I think I have it set fairly high. Yeah, an AI speed of 10. Simply because, as a 1-player game, this is quite slow. guess Talisman basically is too. Not much help in that regard. So you may have noticed that there are a lot more draw twos in the outer board. I think I also mentioned that at least once, maybe twice before this. I think that makes the game more snowball-y, kind of. A 2. Where does this take us? Access to data slates or access to data slates? I think I would like to leave this region, actually. But let's access 2 data slates, keeping in mind that we can replace one if we so desire. Here's a unit. But first, an event, Nurgle's Rot. All of our resources are infected with Nurgle's Rot and are completely destroyed. Good thing we don't have any. I could replace it, but it has no effect, so I'm not going to. A Warp Rift opens and the Legion's resources are infested by Plague Bearers with Nurgle's Rot. One of the most foul of the countless contagions which afflict mortal beings. It is completely incurable, highly infectious, has a very slow course that turns the infected into bloated, rotting corpses. All of our resources are infested and destroyed. And here we see a unit engaging in close combat. We have a bit of an advantage, and this operates just like combat in Talisman would. We roll a die, they roll a die, whoever is higher wins. In that case, not us. I am going to spend one of my 2 fate to reroll this. And I like this much better. Another difference between this game and Talisman is the way that winning a combat helps you. In Talisman, you take trophies, add up to 7, and then you get that type, either strength or craft. In this one, when you win a combat, you get experience. We have 1, and since it was a 2 close combat enemy, we got 2 skulls filled in. After we fill up this track, we will get another close combat. It's basically the same, except that it disallows holding trophies and then, say, going to a city space in Talisman's city expansion, where you can use trophies in one way or the other, as you desire. So, separating them this way disallows that sort of system from being in place. I don't think I care enough about that to have it affect my judgment of the game, but it is something to keep in mind. Equipment is items, and I think he got a gold, but it went by pretty fast. We can actually look. He gained a resource. Yeah. Okay. So let's roll again. And here we have a desert. Lose a resolve, access a data slate, or access 2 data slates. Let us access 2 data slates. We'll get to the middle region later on, but it is one of the major differences. Yes, we have won a combat. Forgot to point this out before. Since we have won a combat, our strategy track has gone up by 1. When we fill up our strategy track, we'll get another strategy to a maximum of 3. So let's investigate this sector. We have a ranged combat of 3, which we're even against. And if we were a traitor, we could reunite, which hopefully we'll get to very soon. Don't let me forget if it happens. We also have another fleet. We can give it 1 resource to cross the warp, or the river, to a sector directly opposite, and we'll take it, because there's no reason not to. And roll high. A 2 is not terribly high. A 1 is not higher. So I approve. They are a 3, so we should get 3 more skulls, I believe. In our range track, yeah. And we'll take this just because it looks like Corvus here has engaged in some battle and has won. He has quite a ways to go on his strategy. One of the things about this game that I kind of don't like is that the characters don't really feel that different. I am willing to admit that this may be because of its theme. But playing as the characters, it doesn't really feel that different. The assassin does assassinate, but it doesn't feel like it affects the game the same way that Talisman characters are different, if that makes sense. I mean, even if it doesn't, I guess I'm going to say that. Access to data slates. Access to data slates. We also have... Is that Karn? Let me zoom in a second here. Well, there is a place here. 4 ranged combat encounters are here. It is a ranged combat pool. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Let's travel there. We will have to get another data slate. We could encounter a warlord, so Karn is here. You can tell by his large icon. There aren't any other unit icons. Okay. Remind me to point that out later as well. So let's do this. Investigate. A fleet, another follower. Add 1 to close combat and 1 to ranged combat. Very nice. We will certainly take this fleet. Strike cruisers are strongly oriented toward planetary assault with large numbers of fighter bays and drop pods, as well as a bombardment cannon, which sounds pretty cool. And we will encounter this for another ranged combat. We're doing pretty good so far. About as well as Corvus. And it doesn't appear that our enemies, the traitors, are doing very well at all. Although they could be doing well in ways that I cannot see. Okay, Corvus chose not to assassinate that for some reason. Oh, was it ranged combat? It probably was. Excuse me, got a bit of a thing. Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to encounter some friendly type units very soon. Access to data slates. Access to data slates. Very well. Let's go to one of those. Okay, we have a friendly unit that is not of our type. Every unit and warlord has a unit symbol above its head. In this case, it is a Titan of Legio Griffonicus, Warlord Maniple. Sure, let's go with that. It doesn't match either of us. So it will give us some benefits on the space that we encounter it. If its unit matched, we could attempt to reunite with it. And I think since it's a Titan, we can anyway. Let's encounter it and find out. Yes, so we roll 1 die at our strategy. And we certainly didn't win. Titans add a lot if you can reunite with them. They would give us 2 close combat and 2 ranged combat. Forever. Unfortunately, our strategy plus die roll has to be 7 or more. So that's a little hard to beat. We have another fleet. We are getting a lot of these things. Starforts are a class of gigantic semi-mobile space stations capable of moving through warp space. We would have to pay a resource, and they would add 3 to our close combat and melee until the end of our turn if we pay them a resource. So they are the... I got this. I can't think of the word. Mercenary. We can't pay him, so he's going to stay there. It looks like pretty much anybody else could also get... Holy crap, Corvus, you have so much monies. Okay. In addition to the art being higher fidelity and kind of more pleasing to me personally, the sound assets are kind of cool. It's one of the best parts of this game, in my opinion. Although, I guess that doesn't really speak that well to the rest of the game. They do sell the soundtrack for this game, I think for $7 USD, something like that. Is there any place we want to teleport to? We could teleport to this place and get another ranged combat. I kind of feel like doing that. It is, admittedly, probably not the best use. We could go here and get some Ultramarines. 5+. So we would need to roll a 3. And Corvus is there? Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do, even though it may be suboptimal, is use our spell or stratagem. I haven't seen a counterspell in game yet, but I'm sure one exists. And we're going to go here. Hello, Corvus. How are you today? We're going to encounter the sector. Investigate it. And we have a Titan of the traitors. A 9. Okay. Well, that might be a little difficult, so let's replace it. That is actually much better. So, since our unit affiliation icons are the same, we can attempt to bring this unit along with us. We will roll. We didn't get high enough, and I kind of want this, so yeah. I will, in fact, use a fate. And we did get them. 6 versus a 5. So now, our close combat went up by 1, I think. Yeah. Corvus is here, but I don't think he's really helping us. Is he? Okay, I'm actually not sure. Well, let's roll. An 8 versus a 5. We should easily win this one. Yeah, fairly easily. And that should give us another close combat since it fills up the track, right? It did fill up the track. Okay. Good, good. We are getting stuff. I would like to go back to that pool and get some more ranged combat. So even though the art is higher fidelity and, in my opinion, better, it does look busier, especially with the big planet in the middle, kind of obscuring some of the other spaces, and the bright colors of the nebulae, as well as the largeness of the character cards, I guess, makes it feel busier. The more I play, the more I get used to that. But if that's something that has concerned you watching the video, I completely understand. Access to data slates, access to data slates. Well, let's go up here so we can get to this pool. Investigate. A Death Guard heavy support company at a ranged 4. Yeah, we can take that. And a Stronghold world. 4 close combat counters are here. A pool of close combat. Very nice. Let's see if we can win this. We have no more fate. So we have won. Very good. That'll give us some more close ranged combat. Yes, ranged combat. 5 now. And we did go up to 6. It filled up our track. I don't think we got any change out of it. Excuse me. And yeah, we'll certainly encounter that to go up in close combat. I'm trying to figure out how to address some of the other media about this game. Specifically, Total Biscuit's review of the game. In general, I like Total Biscuit's stuff. I watch him regularly. I think he's both right and wrong about Talisman and this game. He kind of, if you will, pooped on this game, being in the camp that thinks this should be Relic, and not liking Talisman as a system in general. Let me just take my turn and then continue on that track. A 1. What place do we have here? Choose one of the following. Resolve, fate, or a stratagem. Oh, yes, please. I would like a fate. Okay, so in his review, Total Biscuit made it fairly clear that he didn't like Talisman as a system, calling it advanced chutes and ladders, or snakes and ladders, one or the other. And while there are certainly points to that I think are true, I think that he discounts a lot of the strategy of Talisman. It seems, at least from what I can tell of his opinion, that he thinks it's a lot of, I don't know, roll the dice move, see what happens. I consider Talisman to be a more strategy-driven game than that. Yeah, sure, let's do this. Pick up another one. What do we have here? A stranger assassin. Pay a resource to move the assassin to any space of the data slate, and it dies. Okay. So let's go here really quick. Pick up our stuff. They would help us. They're not a Titan. So I think we will get a resource out of it. Yeah, but nothing else. And we will get a close encounter. So continuing. I think that Talisman is more strategy-driven than many people, including Total Biscuit, give it credit for. I don't think that translates to this game, although I will admit that I may not have had enough experience with this game to make the actually correct call there. While there is a fair amount of randomness in both games, I feel that Talisman, as a system, is about risk management. Sometimes you can't manage your risk, and yes, that might be bad. Risk management allows you to get into the situations where you snowball, you make better decisions. This game, I feel, has more randomness than Talisman, but it also has more opportunity to snowball. Do I want another fate? Or do I want to lose a resolve? Okay, yeah. Well, that decision was easy. We're not missing resolve, so I could get a stratagem. A fate's probably better. If I get another opportunity, I'll go for a stratagem. So, the fact that there are more encounters here. And you seem to interact with other warlords less. Kind of does make it more about go to the place, draw the card, do the thing. Although it's not pedantically true, Talisman feels like you have more options. Stuff like the crag spaces and the tavern, which isn't represented here, may be represented here. Actually, I should find out. It would be one of these roll a die spaces. Specifically, I'm looking for a teleport. I don't think it exists. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. The rewards for these corner spaces are different. Yeah, okay. Well, let's move on. And I think it's to the detriment of this game that that's true. Sorry, just going through... Ah, that's my cell phone. Attacked by chaos demons. I think I'm going to do that mostly because I don't want to pay a resource for Mark V armor. Okay, that was very long. Anyway, I don't know if you could hear that. It was my cell phone going off. I'm going to travel here and see if this close combat gives me anything. We have nothing on the track right now. We could encounter the warlord. Actually, what would that be? Close combat or ranged combat? Probably close combat. They do have an armor, but I can't really take anything that's beneficial to me. Okay, I want to test this out. Professional here. And see if this close combat gives me anything. We may not have the option. Is it worth a fate to find out? Alright, we'll play fast and loose. Okay, it actually did. So, that kind of changes one of the things that I think about this game. There's dedicated combat here that does help your stats. In general, in this game, it seems your stats go up faster. In general. Once you hit this kind of 7 or 8 mark, it's kind of difficult for you to lose combats. In that sense, I can certainly see why some people dislike the snowbally nature of this game. I think this game is more snowbally than Talisman, and people have a problem with Talisman's snowbally type mechanics. So, we could go here and, what, pray? Yes. Let's do that, just to experience it. Oh. We could encounter this warlord, but I don't think we have any reason to. So, we could get resolve for 1 resource each, or roll a die, and we all know how much I like rolling. Close combat, range combat, resolve, stratagem, or both. A resolve? Really? Okay. I will say that resolve seems like kind of a silly thing to me. What, do you just lose your resolve for the Empire and just go away and do your own thing forever? I understand health. Health is, you got punched in the face, now you're hurt, you can't fight anymore. Anyway, resolve seems silly as a concept. I was talking about something. Ah yes, thank you for reminding me. In the character select, it looked like there were 6 characters, right? The 2 with the crossbars, and then like there was what, me and then somebody else like that. Anyway, there's 4 characters. It looked like there were 4 random characters, another random traitor, and me. Which is why I said that that screen didn't make any sense. Thanks for reminding me. We got that out of the way. Okay. I'm pretty sure I was on another track, but I don't remember what it was. So we could do close combat, which theoretically does actually give us close combat. And if we win, gain a resolve or roll a die. That sounds real good. Or we could just roll a die for safe passage going to the other side of the thing. Or get a ranged combat. Okay, well, we're not going to do this because I want the close combat. We are going to be taking the close combat track. We can't quite auto-kill it. But we most certainly win. So, we should, go up by 1. And indeed we did. We can gain a resolve or roll a die. Ah, yes, one of my prior tracks that I probably forgot about was resolve. It does take the place of health, but you don't really have a maximum, as far as I can tell. You can just gain resolve forever. Since it's not health, there's not a distinction between healing and gaining it. So, we can get a fate, a resolve, a resource, a stratagem, or nothing. So let's roll. And as it turns out, we get a fate. Fantastic. I very much like this result. We're well on our way. At 9 close combat, we're very close to being able to win the game. And Karn here has gotten a Talisman. One of the differences between this game and Talisman is that Talismans kind of make sense in Talisman, and they make no sense in this one. As far as I can tell, they don't even try to provide some justification for talismans in this game. You just have to have one to win the game. You know, just kind of a thing that is. Okay, on we go. In Talisman, it kind of makes sense, but not really, because magic exists in this universe. In the Talisman universe. There's just something preventing you from winning the game, going to the space. We could purchase an armor or an armor. I feel like Mark V armor should be way better than Mark II armor. Okay, so the Mark II is a helmet for melee. And here we have a helmet for a firefight? Yes. Okay, I don't want either of those, but I can't do much about it, so let's just go here. And buy nothing. I only have 1 resource. Corvus, you are so rich. How did you get so poor? Huh, oh well. That's one consequence of running the AI at its highest speed. So yes, in this game you do actually have to have a talisman to get to the center space and win the game. For no good reason. But I feel like I could hammer on that point forever, so let's not. Sorry, throat's a bit dry. How long have we been going on? 55 minutes? Sometimes I feel like this game goes quicker than Talisman, and sometimes I feel like it goes distinctly slower. It's kind of hard to beat 3-hour games. And I guess the other ones are about an hour and a half to 2 for this game. Access 2, but we could also attack Mortarion? Yes. Do I care about attacking Mortarion? He has a quest, he has an armor, and that's it. None of those have additional stuff. I do want to travel here, but I'm not going to attack Mortarion. I want to be in the right region for those 2 pools of close and ranged combat, respectively. Oh, we will be able to attack a Titan at an 8 in close combat, so that should be really nice. Especially if we can get this guy on board, who will give us a ranged combat. That won't help us that much. But let's do it anyway. Really? Is that actually worth a fate? Probably not. Yeah. Sorry, I'll come back for you later. Oh! Mortarion helps them out. I changed my mind, guys. I don't want in anymore. Hello? I said I want out. Ooh, that's bad. Okay. Turns out this was not the proper place to go. And I'm going to lose resolve from my mission, apparently. I care a little bit less about my empire or something. Life Eater virus, huh? Oh, destroys data sites. Okay. We are being attacked by Mortarion. I feel like that wasn't a very good... Oh, Corvus got attacked. Okay, not us. Which was why everything resolved very quickly. I just saw blue and immediately assumed that I was getting attacked. It didn't work out well for Mortarion. Oh, Corvus attacked Mortarion. Okay. I'm running the AI super fast. I'm gonna miss some stuff. I accept that, but frankly, it doesn't matter that much. Okay, it looks like the pools did get cleaned up. Well, that's not very nice, is it? Okay, well, let's travel here. Access to data slates. There's a lot of accessing data slates. Add your strategy to your close combat during melee. Okay, if you lose any combat, you discard the battle barge. This is the one that the knight equivalent can get. I don't remember what his name is. So, we'll take that one. And another one? Or was that a different one? Did it change the order on me? Okay, so we have a strike cruiser, a grand cruiser, which we should actually take advantage of, a battle barge, a transport, and a battle barge. I didn't even know that could happen. Okay, learning new things. Fantastic. I don't think that means we can add our strategy twice, because that would be kind of silly. If it does mean that, I approve wholeheartedly. this game might actually be more fun with friends. I feel like it wouldn't be a very good 1 versus 1 game because it would be too slow. On the other hand, you could run through your turns quicker. But if you can get 3 friends to play 2v2, that might be kind of cool. I feel like if you don't really care about Warhammer, this isn't a better game than Talisman. So there's not really a reason to play it. Even if you like Warhammer, I don't know if there's enough Warhammer here to keep you invested. It looks great. I feel like the characters aren't as meaningful as I think they should be. Let's go to... Where are you? I put it on the left. Okay. We will use this fleet. Pay our resource. And move over here. Okay, I probably should have looked at that beforehand, shouldn't I? Well, that's awkward. Let's lose a resolve. I do want to be over here. That was a mistake, but I don't really care too much. Frankly, this is the closest I've ever felt in this game to losing, and I had to make several misplays to make it happen. This game feels easier than Talisman, at least against the AI. The AI in Talisman has always been pretty dumb. The AI in this game seems pretty dumb, and they don't really know how to use the extended abilities. Are you going to attack me? No. Okay, so off we go. We could go to the desert or access 2 data slates, one of which is a close combat 2. Okay. Let's go here. Find out what else is here. A loyalist unit that is not of our affiliation. You know what? Let's replace them. Okay, and get a different unit that's not of our affiliation. Fantastic. They will help us. Add 1 to our ranged combat in this sector. And we can annihilate the Mechanicum Thalax cohort, which is auto-killing it, basically. And I gotta say, annihilate sounds way cooler than auto-kill. They should definitely put that in Talisman. Maybe I should stream this and get some actual real people involved. Like 3 other real people. It does sound like it would be more interesting, at least, played that way. Oh, one thing about this game is that it doesn't seem to have had a very widespread release. Every time I've tried to find online games in any of the regions, there have been none. Access 1 data slate, access 2 data slates. Well, let's access 2. Since we can kill 1, accessing 2 is distinctly better. Okay, a loyalist unit that's not us, and a planetary governor. Ranged combat of 4 or more, he will give us our heart's desire, and I would like to do that. Yes, you will help us do nothing, and we will take a close combat. bringing us to an 11. Since we're here in the inner region, outer, inner, middle, we can start to talk about the end game. We are fairly close to it. Once it wraps back around to our turn, we'll take a look at these squares. It does provide one of the major differences between Talisman and the Horus Heresy. And I don't really know how I feel about it, if I'm being honest. We'll get into more of that in just a second. Mortarion is following us into the inner region. Outer, inner, middle? Outer, middle, inner? Outer, inner. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, so we have the standard door from Talisman. Use close combat or range combat to break the blockade. If the total of 2 dice is equal to or less than the chosen ability, you pass through it. So that's What was I trying to say there? Normal and standard, I think, from Talisman. Here's where the differences start to come in. You still move by 1 sector per turn, and you choose one of the left or the right. You access a data slate here. If you go left, you access 2 data slates. Then you roll 2 dice, which determines a ranged combat value that you fight. If you lose, your legion loses 1 resolve plus 1 resolve or a unit or fleet. So it's kind of a combination of some of the Talisman squares. Over here you have the same thing, but for close combat. Once you pass that, you access 3 data slates, or you access 3 data slates. Then you fight a close combat 10 or a ranged combat 10. That's it. Once you do that, and you have a Talisman, you move to the final battle on the Vengeful Spirit, which is always a 14 strength thing. So this entire area is draw encounter cards or engage in known battles, which I feel is not very good. I know that's not very well articulated, but it just feels strange. Like there should be more there. Okay, all Loyalist and Traitor Legion support units are moved to this sector. I don't think there are any, but I'm okay with it happening. Oh, it's that one Loyalist unit. Okay. And we get a Servo Skull for 1 resource. Fantastic. I don't know how the expansions for this game, which I'm sure are going to come out, are going to address things like board expansions and alternate endings. But I feel like in Talisman you have things like Dice with Death and the Vampire's Tower and the Werewolf and Pit Fiends and all these different things that are actually fairly interesting. This one just doesn't seem interesting. Maybe I'm not invested enough in the lore of it to say, well, the final battle is this big, huge thing that everything's working towards. It really just feels like, well, do I have 14 or better close combat or ranged combat? Well, better go win the game. So that might be my fault that it doesn't feel very good. Ranged combat 3. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. We'll access another data slate. There is a lot of accessing data slates. friendly not us unit. Okay, and we can't auto-kill it or annihilate him, but it should be fairly easy. Yeah, that was pretty easy. It won't help us too much. It'll only fill up a couple of skulls on our track, but that's perfectly all right. We have hit our maximum strategy of 3, so we can't get any more skulls in that regard. So, basically, our goal here is to get our close combat up to 14 or better, then go win the final battle. One of the problems that I have with this ending scheme is that you fight a close combat or ranged combat 10, and then a 14. It makes sense thematically, but I feel like it's a bad game design decision. If you can't beat the 14, you're not going to go for the 10. If you can beat the 14, the 10 is trivial. Pretty much. So we can access one data slate. Where are we going? Yes, we do want to accept an errant quest here. So let's stay in that region. I guess region is a meaningful term. That area. I don't care about resource at all. So let's hope for something better. A unit that's not us. We gain a resolve. Okay. Very well. We were running a bit low. We didn't care about the Empire that much. One of the differences is that the ending here operates kind of like, what was it, the Ice Queen or the Eagle King? In that they have a certain number of lives, or resolve. I guess if you punch Horus in the face enough, he loses his resolve for total dominance of the galaxy/universe. I know I'm making fun of it a lot. I apologize a little bit. It just seems so silly. These big dudes in badass armor. You know, the very angry guy just losing resolve. Anyway, I will shut up about that. Roll 2 dice. Yes, fantastic. This is our temple analog. Let's do it. There is a toting mechanic in this game, but as far as I can tell, it's much harder to actually get to. A 9 gives us a stratagem. Not bad. Look at the next 5 days slates, choose one, and destroy it. Alright. We'll probably use that at the next available opportunity. So we need 4 more close combat. And a talisman. Then we can at least try to win the game. At that point, we would be even with the end result. In the past 2 games that I've played, it generally works out that by the time you actually are able to get a talisman and move to the end goal place, you have something like 18 or 20. In one of the games, I literally annihilated Horus 5 times and won the game. Admittedly, that doesn't seem to be happening this game. But if we go by that game's timing, we have about 30 to 40 minutes left. And we're already at 10 close combat. So, let's get our errant quest. We could also gain a fate here. Fate generation seems to be much, much easier in this game. Yes, let's receive an errant quest. Purchase or find any pattern of power armor and go to Port Maw. Okay. Sure, we can do that. There's at least 2 spaces where we can pay for it. As far as I remember, these all count as power armor, yes? Probably. I guess that's one of the ways in which knowing the lore might actually help. Is Mortarion gonna try to win the game? Do you have a talisman? No. Okay, I think Karn does. In addition to talismans being kind of silly within this universe, existing only because this is a talisman-based game, it appears that the blue guys can't pick up red talismans, and the red guys cannot pick up blue talismans. No idea why that is true, but it does appear to be true. As a loyalist in one of my prior games, the same one where I annihilated Horus 5 times, one of the traitor characters died or otherwise dropped a talisman, and I was able to move to the square, but it didn't give me the option to pick it up. So it appears you have to go get a quest of your own or get one from your ally. I haven't found a hermit yet. 7. That's on the good side, I think. Yeah, 1 ranged combat. It's acceptable. Good enough. Alright, we're moving out to the outer region so that we can hopefully buy some power armor. So even if I attacked Karn, I am about 90% sure I couldn't take his talisman to go win the game. Which is kind of sad. That removes one fairly large aspect of gameplay from the talisman theory. If one guy has a talisman, you go beat him up so you can take his talisman so he can't win. Maybe you can make him drop the talisman. Although that would be kind of a departure from the talisman engine. I guess I don't know that it's not true. And maybe we'll get a chance to test it. Okay, what? Do we have Veil? Yeah, we might as well use it. What's the harm, right? We choose one of these to kill. So we have an assassin coming up. A resource. One of our guys. A auspix. Oh, okay. It's an orb. Whenever you draw data slates, you may discard one that you don't wish to encounter and draw one more. Cool. I want one of those to be out. Let's kill this assassin. Yeah, why not? And move out of the region. Yeah, let's do that. Access 2 data slates, one of which is a close combat 3. We can auto-kill that guy. And that'll fill up our track. So that's good. No, you don't understand. Did I not actually replace him? I think I screwed that one up. Well, let's replace it now anyway. Okay, it's the resource that we already knew about. So, let's annihilate this Solar Auxilia Regiment Command Cadre. Fantastic, we get another resource. We could actually pay for some really good equipment now. But then I think we wouldn't have enough to actually buy the armor that we want. A 16 from Karn. Oh, because he has the help of this guy? He's only one close combat. I guess he's just real buff. Oh, yeah, he is real buff. Okay. Good. All right. Mortarion is not doing very well. Karn is doing probably about as well as we are. And Corvus is, I think, doing better. $10 and 8, 12 and 6. Okay, yeah, we're about the same. We're slightly better than Karn. Not in any meaningful way. Okay, off we go. Let's go to the shop. But first, we'll access some data slates. In some sort of asteroid belt. Ah, the Istvan asteroid range. Hey, one of our units at a 6+ will give us 2 ranged combat. Very well. I approve of this. Since we're at a 3 strategy, we're in the best possible position for encountering these guys. And a 5 ranged combat versus a 9. I don't think this is going to end well for the Predator detachment. And frankly, I'm not sure why these tanks are in an asteroid belt in the first place. That might be part of the problem that caused them to lose their lives. But that is of no concern. I wonder if Karn's ever going to try to win the game. In a Talisman sense, he's at the spot, in terms of close combat, where I would go try to win the game. An 11 is pretty good. That'll get you through the door for sure. Not literally 100% for sure, but, you know, for sure. But in the Horus Heresy, there really is sort of a clear-cut distinction. If you don't have 14 in any one stat, you don't try to win the game. At least that's the way it appears so far. So, again, let's try and get some armor. A 5 does not put us at armor, but let's do this thing. Yeah, roll a die, get some stuff. A 6 gives us safe passage. We can go to Titan next turn. I kind of don't want to do that. I don't think Titan can give you a power armor. Actually, what I want to do right now is fight, and then fight some more. Fight a little bit more after that. Round it out with a little bit more fighting. And then get some stats and win the game and get a talisman. Not in that order. Getting the talisman does seem to be the hardest part of this whole thing. Oh, roll 1. A crag-like space. Probably. Yeah, you can get a close combat out of 4 or 5. Or safe passage. It seems like there's less detrimental spaces. But that might just be... No, seriously, I don't want to leave. Okay. That would take us to Mars. I don't think I want to go to Mars. Yeah, so one of the risk-reward trade-offs in Talisman is that sort of the sort of space like the Witch or the Enchantress or a couple of others, where you have the choice between massive detrimental effect like Get Toaded, which does exist in this game. Moving back, Get Toaded, or get some really good stuff like Strength or Craft. In this one, there seems to be a lot more of the Get Strength or Craft, and way less of the Get Toaded. Even when detriment is provided, it's kind of the weak sense of the Crags, where you just fight some stuff. If you lose resolve, sure. But there's hardly any space where you go there and you might lose the game because you went there. I kind of like Talisman's way better. Like I said, this one seems more snowbally than Talisman is, which I consider to be a detriment to this game. It would be different if it led to dramatically shorter games. What do we have here? Oh, just a rhino hanging out and +1 ranged combat. Well, sure. Let's go here and get some massive benefit. Okay, reunite with this guy. At a 6, definitely meets his requirements. And he will give us a ranged combat. We'll take this equipment for 3 resources and add 1 to our ranged combat. I think we can still afford... Wait, did that not take 3 resources? Did I not pick him up? No, I for sure did pick him up. Am I reading that wrong? Did somebody else already... Okay, I don't care. There are some things like that in this game where I'm not sure if I'm seeing a bug or I don't understand the way the mechanic works. It looked like that card cost 3 resource, and I definitely didn't have 7 resource. So I think I just got it for free, but I don't know why. That seems buggy. I will say that this game is overall not buggy. I haven't had crashes or anything, which is kind of the bare minimum for a released piece of game software, right? I kind of don't want to go there. Yeah, let's do this. We can annihilate it. Get ourselves a little more close combat. Maybe move to this side's shop. Alright, we're up to 11. That's pretty good. Where else could I get power armor? Shops, maybe some event. What was that one? That actually looked new. Horror of Cinch? Okay, you can't click on things to look at the card. Okay. I mean, you've been able to do that in Talisman for quite some time. There's some little stuff like that where it makes me wonder which edition of Talisman they branched from. You can only have 4 characters. The city expansion increased that to 6. Maybe they branched just before the city. The characters certainly have attributes of expansion Talisman characters. But you can only have 4 characters. Yeah, I think they branched this one off just before the city. That's not incredibly meaningful, but... Yeah, let's go access 2. That guy provides us with no benefit. Mortarion is here? Or a... Yeah, Mortarion is here. Is this true? This appears to be true. Does Mortarion have... He has armor! Okay, let's see if this works. I would like to encounter Mortarion, and I would like to close combat Mortarion. I would like to annihilate him, but apparently I can't. A 23 versus a 9. I wonder who wins that one. So let's take his power armor. What is that? Ah, right. Stratagem generators. I did have that in a prior game. It's really pretty good. But now we have to go to a place. Yes, Port Maw. Which one is Port Maw? Cygnus Prime, Death of Reason, Maelstrom. You know what? I think it's one of these. Maybe I'm wrong. It has happened before. Once or twice. Port Maw, okay, is right up here. We're here. So we need a 3. On our next turn. Ooh. Karn is actually gonna try and win the game. That's a first. History in the making, folks. He is at the edge of where I would consider it feasible. He won't for sure win against the guy protecting the Emperor. And he is 1 point down on the Emperor, but he does encounter some stuff before then, so he still has a chance to get there. Do we have... Okay, we don't have an opportunity to teleport to Port Maw. And I really wish I could just go there. Okay, well, let's do this. This should give us some nice stuff. We do have to hit Port Maw. That's really the only way for us to get a Talisman. Yeah, we'll take them. Why not? They give us one ranged combat. Okay. Oh, because we would roll a 1, we automatically got them. Okay. Annihilate these ranged combat people. That'll give us 4 track there. Fantastic. There is a decent chance that Karn actually gets up to 14 on his way to the Emperor. Wait a second. Did he take the path of ranged combat? Okay, I was gonna say... Good, the AI finally tries to win the game. If he's actually taking the wrong path... Okay, no, he is going the melee path. He rolled data slates. Right, okay. Not familiar enough with the board to automatically associate stats to paths. We might actually see the AI win a game. That's kind of exciting. I've never seen them even attempt it before. Even at those types of strengths. Okay, well, we can beat up Mortarion again. Does he have stuff I want? Yes, he does. I would love a stratagem generator. Encounter that warlord in ranged combat. It really doesn't matter, because he's fairly weak overall. 6 versus 17. Again, don't know why we can't annihilate him. Certainly we are taking his Nuncio Vox. Taking a stratagem. Convert any amount of equipment into resources. I'll use it, but I won't convert anything. Or I will convert something if I have to, I guess. A 7 versus his 13 plus equipment and such. Oh, a 13. Okay. Well, that combat put him to a 14. He's probably gonna win the game. He does have to defeat the Emperor 5 times. He can probably do that. Okay, let's use this stratagem. Basically, I'm hoping for a teleport. Oh, I do have to do it, don't I? Well, I have this helmet. Okay, no, I can't. I can't do the helmet. Does this mean if I pay them 3 resources, they'll add 1 to my ranged combat in a combat? Did I pay for a rhino? I think at some point I paid for a rhino. There's no way to search this. Okay. Moving on. Let's kill the rhino. Just because I want to get rid of this. Get a teleporter, go to the maw. Try and win the game. Can't go there yet. We can go here and get 1 data slate, or go here and get 1 data slate. Oh, but that's a Titan. Yeah, we can always get Titans even if our unit affiliation doesn't match. So let's go there and try and do that. Get this Titan. Kill this guy, who is unlikely to put up much of a fight. He is a close combat of 1. Okay. Go! That's not enough to get a Titan. Nor is that. Okay, we tried. Well, that didn't help out very much, did it? Hopefully we get another teleport on our next turn. It's looking fairly likely now that Karn is going to just win the game. Which I'm actually for, because it might indicate that the AI in this game is better than the AI in Talisman. I kind of want for that to be true. Because it would give this game something that it's better than Talisman at. That was an awkward way to phrase that, but I'm not taking it back. Gain your full complement of stratagems? Oh. Yes, please. I would very much like my full complement of stratagems. Oh, he is a Titan. And we did pick him up. He will give us a close combat and a ranged combat. Fantastic. We get rapid gene seed replacement. Administered to our legion and gain 2 resolve. fantastic. Discard a data slate. Cross the warp to a sector directly opposite. That's not what I wanted. Since I didn't get a teleport there, that was a bad choice. Because now, to get a teleport, I have to burn through all the stratagems that I have. Meaning this guy is going to win. Unless he dies. 5 more Karn turns should end this game. That'll probably kick it to about 2 hours. It might take him 20 minutes to win. One of the things that I've been kind of interested in is tracking how long these games go versus how long Talisman games go. We definitely want to use some of these things. Let's just use this one. Choose a data slate. What are you? Close combat counters are here. No, we should probably not kill that one. Okay, you guys. I might want to kill this dude. I think this is effectively useless, but go for it. Sorry, guys, you're getting orbitally bombarded. I apologize for this greatly, but it's for the good of the Empire. Probably. Okay. One more difference between this and Talisman. You can use lots of spells, apparently. I don't think we're going to choose to do this. We might. This battle tank is fantastic. And we get Fate. Okay, it's unlikely to matter because Karn here is going to win shortly. But we can take both these things. Take the Fate pool. One difference in the pools, some of them at least, is that they're tied to a particular side. If it's... Oh, that was actually fairly close. If it's a loyalist pool, sometimes the traders can walk on it and basically defile it, make it go away. Oh. What are you doing here? You lost resolve for some reason. Okay. Fair enough, I guess. So yeah, it's not just pools of things that are available to everyone. They've extended the team-based aspect of the game basically throughout, which I think is kind of a cool thing. Let's go here. I like gambling. A 10 gives us a Fate. Okay. I accept this thing. We're still trying to get to Port Maw. It is looking increasingly unlikely that we're going to be able to win the game here. What do I need for that to happen? Well, I need to get to Port Maw for sure. Otherwise I have no talisman and cannot win the game. I need to pass the Sentinel equivalent, which is fine. 1 or 2 moves in the inner region. Go through the entire middle region. Yeah, he needs to lose probably 3 or 4 times. Assuming that I can get to Port Maw quickly, which is looking increasingly unlikely. Well, there's that. I guess this is kind of an argument against the snowball. Yeah, whatever, annihilate him. Chaos demons are nothing now. That is one argument against the snowball-y aspect of the game. Yes, your characters can snowball, but you also have to get the talisman. If you get a bad quest, that might be really tough. That is one aspect where some characters might be able to win from a lower stat standpoint simply because they got a talisman. And since I can't beat up Karn and take his talisman, I'm not sure how you would get around that. Huh. So it is important to raise your stats, or to snowball yourself in that regard. But it's certainly not a direct indicator of success. No, you don't understand. I want to go here. Okay. If we go here, that'll make it a 4 to Port Maw, which seems maybe a little more likely. No, I was on the wrong spot. Makes it a 5? Okay. Well, it's taking too long. I think Karn has won even if he loses combats a couple of times. Okay, let's go annihilate some fools. 6 and 4? Yeah. Boom. Sorry, House Orlok detachment of some sort. Sorry, heavy support company. We definitely have snowballed in terms of stats. It's really too bad that that doesn't actually help us that much. This is where the random nature of the game really shines through. And by reducing the randomness in this one particular aspect, by denying access to talismans, for the most part, I feel like it does hinder the game. I guess it's kind of hard to explain. It just feels like a bad game design decision. And I'm not just saying that because I'm going to lose the game because of it. Although I am mildly upset about that. We can go here. Hey. Does that not count as power armor? Excuse me? I don't appreciate this at all. Okay, ready to complete quest. Good, complete. Okay, this does teleport us. All right. I have a talisman. Okay. Karn just needs to lose forever. Like, lose this one. That's a good start. You didn't lose that one. All right, Karn wins the game. Fair enough. Mortarion dragged along by Karn to victory. I was there. The day that Horus killed the Emperor. Except that I kind of wasn't. I was actually dramatically far away. There is a leveling scheme for each of these characters. Each of these pips that go up increases the character leveling. You also have a persistent U level. And I'm not sure what leveling up the characters does. Oh, it's going to tell me right now. He will start every game with a data slate and will unlock extra starting data slates at levels 3 and 4 also. Okay. Fantastic, I guess. That seems like a detriment to multiplayer, if I'm being honest. Maybe you can cut that out. Yeah, I've pretty much only played Robot. Let's see if there's any online games. I don't think so. I checked earlier. Yeah, there don't appear to be any. The other regions usually don't have any either. Let's see. Yeah, sure. That's a good name. Can you set up the game? No. That's not game options. Okay, so your level does matter. Okay. I think it's irrelevant. Well, I don't particularly like this game over Talisman. I think it's definitely prettier. Its sound assets are better, for sure. But its gameplay isn't. There are small things about its gameplay that just bug me. That bug me enough that I don't want to encounter them regularly. The characters don't feel dramatically different from each other from what I can tell. There's some overlap between the loyalists and the traitors that fails at least to differentiate them as much as Talisman characters are differentiated, if that makes sense. I think that the Horus Heresy is a weaker game than Talisman, especially Talisman with all of its expansions. One of the things that might be worth watching for this game is how it deals with expansions and DLC after its day one DLC. Hopefully its DLC doesn't follow the same, here's a character and a few cards sort of idea. I feel like the game is overpriced for what it delivers. A lot of it is probably just due to its licensed nature. It's a Warhammer game. That license costs money, they have to recoup it. Fine. I understand why it's true, but I don't necessarily like it. So, I am unlikely to play this game after this point, but I hope you've enjoyed this look at it so that you can make your own informed decision about whether you want to play it. We'll see you in the next video.